Okay, we are live again. This is still May 19th, 2026, a community conference with the two institutions committees. And we have the commissioner of VGS here, and I understand the House folks want to.
We had a brief conversation with the commissioner this morning about the language to repeal the authority to sell 110 State Street. And it's all kind of involved with what they're working out with FEMA and the whole capital complex and their ability to have flexibility for this building. So I thought it would be good if BGS would address the two committees here so that we could have a full conversation about this.
So good afternoon, Committee of Conference. It's an honor to be here. Wanda Manoli, Commissioner of Buildings and General Services. So we didn't spend a lot of time talking about this when we were working through the Senate. And so I was asking specific questions today. But I'm just going to come back. I think history sometimes helps. So in 2023, in the Capitol bill, the authority to sell 110 State Street and providing the city of Montpelier the first option to purchase the property was the language that was inserted into the Capitol bill and approved. We communicated with the city of Montpelier in June of 23 after the Capitol bill passed. The city of Montpelier, they did not have interest in purchasing it. Then we've still pursued looking at selling the building. There has been some issues with flooding, etc., that have occurred. So there was a pause. So now we, the administration, the Department of Buildings and General Services, still want to pursue having the authority to sell the building. And the easiest way for me to describe this is with our application to FEMA. It's one of the buildings that was affected. So if we need to have the option and the opportunity to sell the building because investing in that building for an office does not make sense. And if we have to invest into that building under the codes and the requirements and all the details for FEMA and the handicapped accessibility, etc., we're going to be putting a lot of money, lots of money into a building that will not be able to occupy even a whole department. To be honest with you, and I don't, have to get into that. And I don't know who we place there. Whereas we can bring the building up to codes and standards to be utilized for other things if we restrict ourselves to, because we would invest as an office building, where if we invest in the mechanical, we invest in the electrical, and we bring the building to a good condition to sell, I think it could bring more benefit to the community in Montpelier and the property. And so the administration is requesting, and DGS, as we said, we are not looking to hold on to that property at this time. And our request is that you let us finish also the process of evaluating.
So are you evaluating this in your negotiations with FEMA?
No, that isn't how it works. We don't, we had to present to FEMA the conditions of every facility. And then we had to do roughly cost, and I'm giving you a very high level, and so please be patient with that. And then we have to do a cost estimate to bring the building back to codes and standards and to meet our needs. Those, and so those items get submitted to FEMA for them to review and approve. And or question or ask us to say, well, how did you estimate it? Why is the estimate this when you should be looking at this? So it's a process of submissions, evaluations, and communication back and forth. Then FEMA will give us a project proposal for building by building, or potentially the use of a 428. So if the state of Vermont, if the governor accepts the building by building proposal, for example, then that means anything in that building that we say we have to do, we have to do. And then, but the 428 gives us more flexibility. Having the ability to sell the building really aligns with the idea around the 428. And I think, Madam Chair, you will remember Vermont received, excuse me, Madam Chair of the House, the Vermont was the first to do the 428 in Waterbury. And what that did is it gave us the ability to focus on Waterbury in a different way, and the money was all fungible in the project as long as it met the FEMA criteria. So, and I'm not here to talk about FEMA, and I'm not an expert. I am here to talk about 110, and we do respectfully ask that you let us keep the language as is, and we move forward with the evaluation and the opportunity of selling, if that is the right way to go. Not having that and saying we won't sell it does limit what we do in the investment of that building.
And that could impact your negotiations with FEMA.
It's not negotiations with FEMA. It would impact what we have to invest in the building. So if we can't sell it, you're saying you're going to utilize this building, VGS, for a state office building. That means now we have to look at and say, what do we have to, what's the code? What are the requirements? How do we do the outdoor elevator? Because building is not, does not mean handicapped accessibility for office services. Where are we going to put the electrical systems? We're going to have to put that on the first floor. So the first floor, we may lose 50% use of the first floor. We could lose 30% of the second floor. It's all into the design. And what we would do. So what it does, it doesn't matter if we go building by building or if we go a 428. You removing this language says this will be a part of your inventory and you will house people in this space. That's
So
really what, by not allowing us to consider selling it, that's what you're saying.
So it takes away some flexibility.
Yeah. So I have some questions, but are you?
Yep.
So, it sounded as if you said that you already have done an analysis of that building.
We've done cost and our application to FEMA is to say this building was destroyed. These items were destroyed. This is the estimated cost of repairing them. This is the codes and standards. So that's part of our FEMA application. Yes.
Okay, so this building was part of that.
Every building, every space in Montpelier that was flooded was
So
done.
can you give us that?
You can have Doug come in and talk about the application, what the value was of that. And I'll ask him if he wants to on 110. So, but I don't,
that would be
Doug is
helpful.
responsible for the application and the process with FEMA. But again, I think you go back to 23, there's a reason why you asked us to sell the building.
Well,
And so if you're changing that, if the legislature is changing that, I think it would be helpful for us to understand why you are modifying that decision.
Yeah.
Yep.
So circumstances in 2023 are such that the administration and the legislature determined it made sense to sell the building. Just even outside the FEMA process, from our analysis on how we use office space in Montpelier, we're not seeing that that's a high priority at this point, especially given potential space loss for FEMA renovations to reoccupy. So essentially the circumstances haven't changed since 2023 to make it such that holding on to it is a priority on our.
so do you have space for the folks who are in there now?
So there are limited people that are in there. And I don't have the occupancy in front of me. Maybe we could look at it.
The sheriff and
Futures.
yeah.
But if
The
you were,
associate-
so what our process is, so I'm gonna say that's what the process is. If we got a buyer, then we move forward to finding the appropriate place for the occupants. And so we're not at that yet. You know, because we haven't put it on the market because we need to make some investment into that building. That building and the systems, every building in Montpelier and the systems are on temporary permits. There's not one building in Montpelier, except for maybe 120 State Street, that actually has a full permit of the system. And so everything that we're occupying in Montpelier, we're on a wing and a prayer, and we hope that that permit carries over and that the system that we have in place that's temporary will keep us going until we do the replace.
Do you know if it was put up for sale earlier? Because you said, that
The offer went to Montpelier. We did not put it on the market, I believe, because of the flooding. I can confirm that,
Yeah,
but
that would be-
I'm
Well, the
99.
The flooding happened in
In
June.
20.
And you just had authority with Montpelier having the first option
Right.
when the bill became law, which was the end of May, beginning of June. So there was
Right.
only a few weeks there before the.
Yeah, and so
Right.
I do know we communicated on June 23rd with Montpelier.
And then the flood happened the 27th, 28th,
good job. What,
because it wasn't July, it was June.
right.
It was just July.
Did you have an appraisal done?
So I
Or
don't,
was there a recent appraisal?
I can go back, I don't have that information with me. I can go back, but is there an appraisal
I'm just,
today?
yeah, I'm just thinking about even the very modest appraisals that realtors will do before they.
No, that's how we do it
Yeah.
in our property management, but but I will ask the committee, help me with what you think we can use it for. That's the other thing. I mean, one is saying, keep it in your inventory and house people there. I'm saying with the authority and where you went with us selling the building, our process is very fluid. We put it out to bid, get it for sale, we get an offer, we accept it. We then move to find the appropriate place for the people that are housed there and their new space. So I can't tell you where they're gonna go because that's kind of out of the process. But you wanna still not sell it. And I'm not sure why.
Or to not sell it now. There are a lot of changes happening. Obviously, I mean, you still have work to do. You have the FEMA.
The work that we would do in that building would be less if we were to sell it than if we were to fit it up to codes and standards to occupy it for a state office space.
Sure. And so the
So with
buyer
that-
would have to bring it up.
Well,
to code.
but no. We would bring in the systems, our requirements for the elevator and other pieces. A buyer may not need an elevator. We have to have a certain elevator because we're open to the public and how it is being used. A buyer may buy it for housing. It doesn't need the exterior, only needs the interior elevator. I'm just
Right.
using that as an
Right.
example. So our state investment in that building, if we don't have the ability to not sell it, we will have to make investments as an office building, which is going to be millions of dollars more than likely. I don't know. I mean, I could figure out what our estimate for codes and requirements are, but it will be a considerable amount of money for a building we may not need.
So what was the Senate's position in terms of not wanting to sell that property? What was your position, as the Senate committee, wanting to retain that property?
Not to, because it's an important historic site and because we don't know what the use is going to be. There's a lot of flux in our system. We have employees coming back, in person. So it seemed, prudent to keep it for now. And that's just for now. That doesn't mean we wouldn't be able to sell it later.
But that's sort of impacts a little bit in terms of how the FEMA dollars get expended at the end.
Well, once we accept it, we have to put our plan together and that means we're committed to, if that building is in our inventory and we don't have the option to sell it, then we have to move forward with planning it as an office building. And I'm telling you, based on the utilization, It's with what we have to do with electrical, what we have to do with ventilation, with everything. We don't have, because of the flooding, we can't put additions on the back. We have to look at how are we gonna provide those systems, and what you lose is floor space for systems.
Yeah.
Mechanical roads become the first floor of a building.
Okay.
If I may, I think, and I follow where you're at. FEMA is completely different than fit up of the building for whatever occupancy. FEMA is only dealing with the damage that was done as a result of the flooding. And I know from having been in most of these buildings, a lot of your electrical stuff that's in the basement's gotta get all moved.
Everything's gotta go up the first floor.
And so that would be what
Thank
I
you.
understand it, what VGS would need to do in order to be able to put the building on the marketplace. I mean, they would do the FEMA things, and here they are, they approve it, been through the process a number of times. And they will approve it, and they'll want to have all the data that shows you did what was approved. But you wouldn't go further than that.
Unless we were gonna occupy it.
And then you would go
That's all right.
through into the fit up for the building for whatever the occupancy. If somebody buys the building, they could come in and occupy the building in its current state after the flood stuff was done and do nothing to the building.
Mhm.
They would not be required to bring it up any further to codes and standards unless the renovations that they propose to do to the building equal, and I forget what the magic number is, but a certain percentage of the value, and then they'd have to bring it up to the full code.
Yeah.
And the
standards.
use also goes to
Right,
that
it depends
calculation.
on whether they change occupancy.
That's right.
So I can see where, from a state standpoint, there's a certain amount that we're gonna need to invest regardless, which is tied to FEMA. But after that, it's really of whether we're gonna keep the building and then spend a whole bunch more to fit it up, or whether we're gonna put it on the marketplace and sell it to somebody who may not need to do anything other than move in. I think
Right.
that's where we are.
Yeah, okay, excellent summary. Thank you.
And just because there is the authority for you to sell a building, doesn't, I mean, we've given authority for other buildings here to sell, like one way chair, and it comes and goes. In terms, you might have a buyer, and then the contract falls through. We've been trying to sell one way cherry for 4 years, 3 years, 4. And we have a buyer, and then it falls through. But the bigger issue with this one, I think also, what Senator Benson just said, the state's obligated to at least do the minimum and standards if we have the flexibility of being able to put the building on the market.
And,
And if
and
we don't have that flexibility, then you're really locked in to investing a lot more money.
so that's just exactly where I was gonna go. Right now, we may sell it. We have the option. And we're taking that away, we can't sell it. And that's, I think, the driving force, keeping the language, and I think I had said this to the committee, leaving the language where it is, even this, and letting us finish our work and our evaluation and determining, is there a best use? Should we sell it? Let's move forward with it. Leaving it as is, I think, in the best interest of the state. And we're not, there's no secret, I mean, when I said there's no, we're not hiding anything, we don't have any specific plans for that building, we're literally saying, we're gonna get a bucket of money. What's the best way to spend that money? And we have these systems, and to the point of what do we have to replace?
Just in terms of if you were going to sell the building, what's the earliest when you could sell it?
Well, right now, we could have had it on the market and sell.
So it could be, you,
It could have been
Next
3
week.
months ago,
oh, it could have been, okay. All right. I
right?
just wanted to know. Just
Since
possibility of a timeline that could
2023,
be- Since
we
that,
had the authority.
anytime, nothing will prevent you from selling it right now.
Well, unless, the modification of this
Well, yeah,
language, yes.
there could be one issue. Once you accept the FEMA money, then you had to basically do.
That planning, there's those elements of that planning that have to go into that building. You're absolutely right.
You have to comply.
So that would be the only thing.
It's the very earliest that could be pulled.
I don't know.
Don't know.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
I don't think I'm gonna have, I mean, you're asking, what's the earliest that we're gonna accept and do that work? I don't know, and I'm not gonna be able to get you that.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it could be years.
No,
well,
Alright.
FEMA's
That's all I
often,
wanted. That was
yeah,
general sort of like. It's like,
so all of our applications, all of our documents have been in. The state is negotiating with FEMA. There's a path, it's not gonna be years. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be.
Better not, it's already.
You know,
well, it often has, it takes 7 years.
Well,
typically, The whole
well,
process, yeah.
But once we accept and then we have our design and that's approved, then we're moving forward from beginning to end. It might be another 5 years, but.
Right, but once you get the approval, so FEMA,
Right, so,
that's what you're talking about, the approval from FEMA.
well, that's
And
the
then
first thing.
then you do your work.
Yeah.
But the approval of FEMA with your flexibility of 110 helps you do the work in the subsequent years.
That's right.
Because FEMA will say, okay, if you're gonna sell the building, this is what you need to do. If you're not gonna sell the building, this is what you're gonna do.
Once the funds are obligated.
Right, you gotta abide by that.
Set.
So let's get more information on where you
what do
are
you-
in the top, where you are in the process,
In what process?
in the FEMA process.
I feel that I've expressed, the state has, when are we getting an exception from, when we're gonna get
are
our
you-
final offer from
Yes,
FEMA?
yes.
Is that what you want?
Oh,
I'll
and
have
when
that
are you
Brian come in and testify.
to make those changes, the 428 versus the building specific.
So we've
It sounds
applied
like-
for both. It's,
Mm.
we are at a place of when are they gonna offer the state of Vermont a dollar amount?
Okay,
And you're probably familiar with this, with the transportation and other projects. And when do we expect that offer? And how much time do we have to accept that offer?
okay, and you've done it for both, you proposed both methods.
Yes, we've been working on this for 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. And the 428 gives the state much more flexibility. in what you do with buildings and complex than building by building.
No, I understand that. So if you had sold it already, what would that look like? That, I can ask that for some.
Means we wouldn't get an award for that. And like if we'd already sold it. then it
We
would
wouldn't have
be part
put in
of
an
our
application
Right.
for
Because we would
that.
be the owners.
That's correct. That is correct.
It would be the owner of the building would put in a separate application, maybe in conjunction with Montpelier with the other buildings. Montpelier.
And I think it's important. It is a historic building. It's because you keep bringing this up. Our buildings in the Capitol complex are part of a historic district.
Yes,
And every building within that, if we sell it, it's sold with covenants and it is sold with protection. So we don't lose sight of those important elements of being a historic downtown and a historic district. Any of our historic buildings, within the complex, and even under FEMA, there are different, I don't want to get into FEMA, but there are elements of the preservation with the FEMA money within those historic buildings, and that's a part of it as well. I will reach out to Doug, and who should he contact?
yeah.
Okay.
So would it be all of us hearing from Doug, or is it just you?
Whichever you would like.
We all should?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
So let's plan
You
for
can
that
do it.
tomorrow afternoon, yeah. Or today, I guess. if you're
Yeah,
available.
like time, sometime today or
I will give him a
Are you
call.
available early tomorrow morning, like 8:30? I cannot do that right now. How about 8:30? Then we can see if we can get Doug in at 9 tomorrow morning.
Yeah, or today. Today would be better. And you don't have more floor today?
Oh, we're on the floor all afternoon.
Oh, okay, so you would have to just peek out.
Not this one though.
Well, we've
Just
got
fine.
a court amendment on asking
Oh,
Yeah, that's actually getting hot right now.
Is that happening right now on the floor?
Some discussions happening among people, yes.
On the floor? Is the bill up on the floor?
okay. Well, I think we've got what we needed today.
Can you figure out, you reached out to Doug Farnham just to see?
I was going to call him and then have him reach out to take, yeah, just, I'd like to explain the conversation so he knows.
Okay.
And I spoke to him also. I heard from him.
Okay, and
It's on the floor now.
so do you need to hear from him again?
I would like other people to hear.
I think so we're talking about the masking right now on the floor. I think it's important for us to be on the floor for this particular debate. See if Doug is available, like maybe 3:00, 3:30, something like that.
Yeah,
4
you can go
o'clock.
ahead.
Does that work? Just to give us time
Yep.
for this debate. So
That works.
Yes, I'm on the floor.
Pardon me?
You mentioned 2 people.
I don't.
So let's see if we can get Doug back.
Okay.
This afternoon, but give us the flexibility to be on the floor for this. This S208.
Yes, we know it.
So, no, it's a cultural issue.
Yeah,
Thank you
no, it's a big
all.
one.
It's a big one.